Chosen one, I need you to sit down before you hear the rest of this. Not as a figure of speech. Actually find somewhere to sit, because what I have to tell you is not the kind of thing you receive standing up, braced and busy and half listening. Something is about to change in your life, and it is not a small adjustment. It is not a slightly better month. It is the kind of change that splits a life into a before and an after, the kind that you will one day point back to and say, that was the season everything turned. And the reason I am asking you to sit is that your spirit already knows this is true, and the body needs to be still to receive what the spirit already senses coming. You have felt it, have you not? For weeks now, maybe months, there has been a strange charge in the air around your life, a sense that something is building. You cannot point to it on a calendar, and you cannot explain it to anyone without sounding foolish, but it is there, a low hum underneath your ordinary days, like the pressure that drops right before a storm finally breaks. That feeling is not anxiety. It is anticipation that your mind has not yet learned to name. Your spirit is picking up the footsteps of something large walking toward you, and the unease you feel is simply the gap between what your spirit knows and what your eyes can yet see. Let me tell you what that hum actually is. It is the sound of heaven, rearranging the furniture of your life before the new season moves in. You have probably noticed things shifting lately, relationships rearranging, old chapters closing whether you wanted them to or not, a restlessness with everything that used to satisfy you. People assume those disruptions are problems. They are not problems. They are preparation. You do not redecorate a room unless something new is about to be placed in it. And the disruptions you have been grieving are the clearest sign that the change is not a someday hope. It is already in motion. I want to be careful with you here because the word change can frighten a person who has been hurt by it before. Many of you have learned to brace against change because in your experience, change has usually meant loss. Something good was always followed by something breaking, so even good news makes you flinch, waiting for the catch. I want you to hear me. This change is not that. This is not the slow erosion you have known. This is the kind of change you have actually been praying for, arriving in a form so much larger than you asked that you may not recognize it at first as the answer. If you can feel the truth of what I am saying, if something in your chest just tightened with a hope you are almost afraid to hold, do one thing with me before we go further. Comment the words, I am ready for big. Not because a comment changes heaven, but because your own hands declaring readiness will preach to the part of you that has been quietly bracing for disappointment. Tell your own spirit that you are ready to receive something good without flinching. Here is the truth about a change this big. It does not arrive the way small changes do. Small changes announce themselves politely and give you time to prepare. But a change that reorganizes an entire life tends to arrive suddenly, almost violently in its swiftness, after a long season where nothing seemed to be happening at all. That is the pattern of every great turning. A long, quiet, frustrating wait, and then a sudden shift that moves more in a week than the previous 5 years combined. If your last season felt impossibly slow, impossibly stuck, that is not evidence the change is not coming. It is the exact setup that always comes before the sudden turn. But I have to be honest with you about something, because you came here for truth and not for a pleasant feeling that fades by tomorrow. There is a reason that some people stand right at the edge of the very change they prayed for and somehow cannot step into it. The change arrives, the door opens, and they miss it, not because they were unworthy, but because of a specific condition that keeps faithful people from perceiving and receiving the thing they have been waiting for. I am going to tell you exactly what that condition is later in this message, and I am going to tell you what a team of researchers in New York discovered about it because what they found explains something spiritually awake. People have felt their whole lives but never had the words for. For now, hold only this one question as we go. What if the only thing standing between you and the change you can feel coming was never your faith and never your readiness, but something inside you that can actually be restored? Hold that question. We will come back to it. But first you need to understand why this change is happening now, in this season, and not before, because the timing of it is not random at all. Let me name some of the ways this season has been showing up, so you know I am describing your life and not a stranger. You have been having dreams that feel heavier than usual, the kind you wake from with your heart pounding, certain they meant something even if you cannot decode them. You have been crossing paths with the same words, the same numbers, the same strange confirmations, until the coincidences stopped feeling like coincidence. And underneath it all, you have felt a pull to get ready, an instinct to clear space, to simplify, to put your house in order without fully knowing why. That instinct is not random. Something in you is preparing for an arrival. The way a person cleans the house before a guest they can feel is coming but cannot yet see. You have also felt more emotional than usual, more easily moved, closer to tears for reasons you cannot explain. Do not be ashamed of that. The heart softens right before it is asked to hold something large. The tenderness you have felt is your spirit being made pliable enough to receive a blessing without shattering. A hardened heart cannot hold a great change. So the very sensitivity that has made these months feel raw is part of the preparation. You are being made ready in ways that feel like weakness, but are actually the precise softening a great change requires of the one who is about to receive it. Let me explain why the change is coming now, because understanding the timing will settle something in you that has been anxious for a long time. You have wondered, probably more times than you can count, why it did not happen sooner. Why you had to wait through years that felt wasted while the promise stayed just out of reach. I want to give you an answer that reframes the entire wait. The change could not come sooner because you were not yet able to hold it. And a change that arrives before a person can hold it does not bless them, it breaks them. Think about what a sudden, total change actually requires of the one receiving it. It requires a capacity that most people simply do not have until life has built it in them. The promotion that would have destroyed you at 30 becomes a blessing at 40 because the years in between made you into someone who could carry it without being corrupted or crushed by it. The relationship you wanted years ago would have repeated all your old patterns. The wait was not punishment. The wait was construction. Heaven was building the version of you who could survive the answer, because an answer that destroys you is not mercy, no matter how badly you wanted it. Here is the first thing I want you to truly receive. The length of your wait was always proportional to the size of your change. People who are being prepared for small things wait a short time. People who are being prepared for something that will reorganize their entire life and ripple out to everyone connected to them are prepared longer and pressed harder. So if your wait has been long and your formation has been severe, do not read that as a sign you were overlooked. Read it as a measurement of the magnitude of what is about to arrive. You do not build a deep foundation for a small house. Let me reframe the frustration too, because it has been eating at your faith. You looked at the slow years and concluded that maybe you heard wrong. Maybe the promise was never real. Maybe you imagined the calling. But notice something. The promise never died in you. You tried to let it go 100 times and it kept coming back. That persistence is not stubbornness. A false promise fades when you stop feeding it. A true one will not leave because it is anchored to something heaven placed in you that no disappointment can uproot. The fact that you still believe, after everything that tried to talk you out of it, is the strongest evidence you have that the change is real and near. If that just lifted something off of you, if you suddenly see the slow years as preparation instead of proof of failure, mark this moment. Comment the words, "The weight was building me." That is not a small realization. That is the moment a person stops resenting their history and starts honoring it. And the moment you make peace with the weight, you become able to receive the change without the bitterness that would have poisoned it. Now here is the second thing, and this is the one that sets you free. The change that is coming is not something you have to make happen. This is enormous, so let it land. You have spent years striving, pushing, trying to force the door, exhausting yourself in the effort to manufacture the very thing that was always going to be given. The change is not a reward for your striving. It is an arrival on the timeline of heaven. Your job was never to force it. Your job was to be ready to receive it when it came. And there is a profound rest available in that distinction, because it means you can stop straining and start preparing your hands to catch what is already on its way. But there is a catch hidden in readiness, and it is the catch that traps faithful people most often. Readiness is not the same as effort. You can be effortful and still not be ready, because readiness is about the state of your perception, not the intensity of your work. A change can arrive at the door of a person who is working themselves to exhaustion, and they will walk straight past it because the part of them that perceives and receives has been worn down to static by years of striving in survival mode. This is the cruelest trap of all. The very effort you thought was making you ready was actually dulling the faculty you needed to receive. Let me show you what I mean, because once you see it, the whole game changes. Here is what striving does to the receiver. It keeps you in a divided state, one part reaching forward in hope, while another part braces in fear. And living split like that for years thins your capacity to recognize the answer when it comes. You can be standing inside the change you prayed for and feel nothing, because the part of you that was supposed to light up with recognition has gone quiet from exhaustion. So the question is not whether the change is coming. It is coming. The question is whether you will be present enough, clear enough, undivided enough to step into it when it arrives. And that is a question with an answer, which I will give you fully before this message ends. But first you need to see what this change actually looks like, so you know exactly what you are preparing to receive. There is a third thing I want to place in you before we turn to the vision, because it will guard you in the days ahead. When a change this large begins to arrive, the resistance often spikes right before the breakthrough. The week before the turn is frequently the hardest week of the entire wait. Everything seems to go wrong at once. The doubts scream loudest. The temptation to give up becomes almost unbearable. And people abandon their breakthrough days before it lands, mistaking the intensity of the resistance for evidence that nothing is coming. Hear me, the resistance is not a stop sign, it is a birth pang. The pressure that feels like everything falling apart is often the last contraction before the new thing is finally delivered. So if these recent days have been unusually heavy, if the very moment you started to hope was the moment everything seemed to get harder, do not read that as the change being cancelled. Read it as the change being near. Nothing fights this hard against a person who is going nowhere. The intensity of the opposition is always proportional to the magnitude of what it is trying to prevent. You are not falling apart. You are crossing a threshold, and thresholds are always guarded. Set your feet, steady your heart, and refuse to quit in the very hour the answer is closest. Now let me show you what is actually on the other side of this threshold, because you deserve to see it clearly before you take the final steps toward it. Let me take you forward into the season that is coming, so the change stops being a vague feeling and becomes something you can almost touch. Picture a morning a few months from now. You wake up and the first thing you notice is that the weight is gone. The low dread that has sat on your chest for years, the one you stopped even noticing because it had been there so long, has simply lifted. You lie there in the quiet and realize you are not bracing against the day. For the first time in longer than you can remember, you are actually looking forward to it. That alone, that single shift from dread to anticipation, is a change so large that everyone around you will feel it before you find the words to explain it. Now let me show you the change in your circumstances, because it will not stay inside your mind. The door you have been knocking on for years, the one that would not budge no matter how hard you pushed, swings open almost on its own. The provision you could not figure out arrives through a route you never would have predicted. The relationship, the opportunity, the breakthrough you had almost stopped believing in materializes, often through a single conversation, a single unexpected yes, a single morning that changes the trajectory of everything. This is what people mean when they say it happened suddenly. The suddenness is real. After the long, slow wait, the change tends to arrive all at once. Here is the third face of it, and it is the one that heals the deepest part of you. The change is not only outward, it reaches the wound underneath everything. The part of you that has felt forgotten, overlooked, like life was happening to everyone but you, finally gets its answer. You stop feeling like the one left behind. You begin to feel chosen, seen, deliberately included in a story that is going somewhere good. And that internal change, the shift from feeling forgotten to feeling chosen, is worth more than any single external blessing, because it heals the lens through which you see your entire life. And here is the fourth face, the one that gives all the rest its meaning. The change makes you a source. For so long you have been the one in need, the one praying for your own breakthrough, the one barely holding on. On the other side of this turn, you become the one others come to. Your testimony becomes the hope of someone still waiting. The very change you received becomes the thing you carry to people still stuck where you used to be. Nothing you went through gets wasted. It all becomes material for the ministry of presence you were always meant to have. You do not just receive the change, you become a doorway through which it reaches others. Anchor that future right now, because what you declare, you begin to draw toward you. Comment the words, "Everything is changing." Say it not as a beggar hoping, but as a chosen one, calling the promised season into the present where you stand. Let me put an ancient face on what is about to happen to you, because you are not the first person God moved suddenly after a long silence. Think of the man at the pool who had been sick for 38 years. 38 years of watching others step into their healing while he stayed exactly where he was. By every measure, his window had closed. His situation was the definition of permanent. And then, on an ordinary day he had no reason to expect anything from, a single encounter changed everything in a moment. And the man who had not walked in nearly 4 decades stood up and carried his own mat home. The change did not come gradually. It came in an instant, after a wait so long he had stopped expecting it. That is how heaven often works. Not slow improvement, sudden reversal. You have been at your own pool. You have watched others step into the very thing you have been waiting for, and you have wondered if your window quietly closed while you were not looking. Hear me. The length of the wait has nothing to do with the speed of the turn. 38 years of stuck were undone in a single sentence. Your years of waiting can be undone just as quickly, because the God who changes everything is not limited by how long nothing seemed to be changing. The wait does not predict the turn. The wait only makes the turn more undeniable when it finally comes. So let me name who you are becoming in this. You are not the forgotten one. You are the one whose story is about to turn so sharply that people who watched you struggle will struggle to explain it. Your change will become a sign to others that their own change is possible. That is part of why it is so big. It was never only about you. A change this size is designed to be witnessed, to give hope to everyone connected to you who has been quietly losing theirs. You are about to become living proof that the long wait does not mean the dream died, and that proof will minister to more people than you will ever know. Now let me close the loop I opened at the beginning. I told you there was something a team of researchers in New York discovered about the condition that keeps faithful people from receiving the very change they prayed for, and I said I would come back to it. I waited until now on purpose, because a solution only becomes useful once you understand the full shape of the problem it solves. You now understand the shape. You feel the cost of the divided, exhausted state. And you have seen what the change makes possible, so you are finally ready for the rest of it. But I have to be honest with you about why this answer has stayed hidden from sincere, faithful people for so long. It is not because heaven was hiding it. It is because the answer comes from a place most spiritual people never think to look. It does not arrive wrapped in religious language. It comes from a laboratory. And the bridge between what science discovered and what your spirit has been crying out for is the most important thing I will say in this entire message. So let me build that bridge for you now, carefully, because a change this big deserves a receiver fully prepared to hold it. In 1981, something was proven in a laboratory that most people sitting in spiritual communities have never been told about. A scientist named Dr. Roger Sperry received the Nobel Prize for showing that the human brain is built in two halves, two hemispheres, and that these halves were designed to operate in synchronized partnership. When they fire together in sync, a person enters what researchers call whole brain activation, and in that state, the very faculties you need in order to perceive and receive a great change come fully online. Clarity, intuition, the sense of being guided, the ability to recognize an open door instead of walking past it. That readiness you have been praying for is not only spiritual, it has a measurable physical component, and that component has a name. Here is the part that will stop your breath. Researchers found that around 98% of young children operate in that synchronized whole brain state as their natural default. But by adulthood, fewer than 1 in 1,000 still do. The state does not vanish because you failed God. It erodes because modern life, the noise, the screens, the chronic survival mode gradually pulls the two halves out of step. That divided, exhausted condition I described earlier, the one that makes faithful people miss the change they prayed for, is not a metaphor. It is a physical, measurable reality. And what is physical can be repaired. Before I tell you what the repair is, let me tell you about two people. A woman from California had tried everything: prayer, journaling, every practice her community offered, and she kept arriving at the same place. She believed the words but could not feel the reality behind them. After 10 days, she said something cleared. A channel that had been blocked was suddenly open. Not because she tried harder, because the receiver had been repaired. A man from Texas described something similar. Someone who had held everything together for everyone around him while his own inner life went thin. Prayer had started to feel like talking into a wall. 2 weeks later, the fog that had been so constant he stopped noticing it, as fog was simply gone. That is because of what a team of neuroscientists, led by Dr. Daniel Barone in New York, built. They took over an hour of clinical neural sync technology, the kind of whole brain activation protocol used in specialized medical settings, and through years of compression and refinement, they turned it into an 8-minute targeted auditory sequence. 8 minutes a day. Headphones, eyes closed. That is the entire requirement. They call it the genius switch. It is not a meditation app. It is not a mood sound. It is a targeted auditory sequence engineered based on the Nobel Prize research of Dr. Sperry to bring the two hemispheres back into sync and restore the whole brain state that was your default in childhood. The genius switch is not for everyone. It is for the chosen one who understands that God prepared not only the change, but the mind that has to walk into it. The person who has been sincere for years, who has waited and believed and refused to give up even when nothing was cooperating, and who is finally willing to stop treating their exhausted fog as a character flaw and start treating it as something with a specific address. Most people who hear this will scroll past because they have made peace with the dimmed version of their life as permanent. You are still here. That is not coincidence. That is the exact persistence that belongs to the person this was built for. Let me tell you what it costs, because it will surprise you. Colleagues told Dr. Barone this would be fair value even at $500. In-person neurofeedback runs $300 an hour. A home machine can cost $7,000. It was not released at $500 or $200 or $100. It was released at $49. And today, on the direct page, an additional $10 off brings it to $39. Along with it come 4 free editions. A guided visualization from a top-rated creator, a grocery guide that saves $100 a month, a century-old text on attracting provision, and a printable guide of 5 daily habits. All of it is backed by an unconditional money-back guarantee. Listen once. Listen 80 times. If it does not do for you what it has done for over 18,000 people, every dollar comes back. No conditions. I should be honest about one more thing, plainly. The $39 price is not guaranteed to last beyond the page itself. Dr. Barone and his team have communicated that the price will rise. That is not pressure. That is simply the reality of what limited access to clinical-grade neurological restoration looks like. And one thing more worth naming, if you search common platforms for anything that sounds like this, you will find imitations. The team studied them, and most carried no real neural sync at all. The mechanism is what makes the difference, and the mechanism only exists in what they built. The direct page is the only verified source, and that is where the link points, in the description and the pinned comment. Read everything there before you decide a single thing. Now hear me carefully, because this protects your heart. The tool does not replace God. It does not replace obedience. It does not receive the change for you. What God is doing in you is not conditional on any tool, but a tool that restores the receiver simply gives what God is doing more of what it was designed to land in. So, if your spirit confirmed something while I was speaking, do not argue it away. Comment the words, "I am ready to receive," as a chosen one who refuses to stand at the edge of their breakthrough half awake. Let me answer the doubt rising in some of you, because I would feel it too. You have tried things before, apps, sound files, practices that promised clarity and gave you a few good days before fading. I understand the fatigue, but hear the difference. Most of what is sold reaches only a sliver of the picture and leaves the two halves as disconnected as it found them. What Dr. Barone built works at the level of hemisphere synchronization itself, the actual root of the divided state, using a layered protocol refined over years of clinical work. That is a different mechanism, and a different mechanism produces a different category of result. This is also why effort never fixed it for you. You cannot force two halves into agreement by trying harder. You retune them gently, a few minutes at a time, until clarity becomes your ordinary baseline instead of your rare exception. The deeper current of this message, though, is not a tool. It is the change God is bringing once the receiver is finally clear. So, Let me return us to that, because the most important thing still waits ahead. And for the chosen one who felt something stir when the mind was mentioned earlier, that door is still open in the description and the pinned comment. It is a small step, but small steps taken from a clear mind have changed entire seasons. That is the only place I will point to it. Everything that remains in this message belongs entirely to something deeper, and it is time we return to it. I want to speak to who you actually are now, on the edge of this turning. You are not a passive bystander waiting for luck to find you. You are a chosen one, deliberately positioned, deliberately prepared, deliberately timed for a change that was written before you were born. Nothing about your life is accidental. The family you were placed in, the wounds you survived, the long wait you endured, were all part of the shaping of a person who could carry a change this large without being destroyed by it. You were not forgotten in the waiting room. You were being fitted for the throne. You are also a turning point. Somewhere in your family line, there has been a pattern of almost the breakthrough, almost the healing, almost the inheritance, and then the door closing one step too soon, generation after generation. You feel the weight of that pattern because part of your assignment is to be the one in whom it finally breaks. When this change comes to you, it does not stop with you. It reaches backward to redeem what your ancestors never got to see, and forward to bless children who are not even born yet. You are the hinge on which a whole lineage turns. That is why the resistance has been so heavy. Heaven does not assign light weight to ordinary people, and you are a witness. The change that is coming to you is not a private gift to be enjoyed quietly. It is a testimony, being prepared. The people watching your life, the ones who saw you struggle and wait and almost give up, are about to watch you turn, and your turning will preach to them louder than any words. You are becoming evidence that the wait does not mean abandonment, evidence that the long silence was preparation, evidence that the God who changes everything had not forgotten a single one of your tears. Let me give you something to carry into the ordinary days while you wait for the turn, because revelation without practice fades by morning. Each day, before the noise of the world reaches you, take a few minutes to return yourself to a settled, undivided state. However you do it, through stillness, through breath, through the restoration I described earlier, the principle is the same. You do not begin your day by bracing for what might go wrong. You begin it by clearing the receiver so that if the change arrives today, you will actually perceive it. The people who miss their breakthrough are almost always the ones too scattered to notice it walked in. Do not be one of them. Begin each morning clear, present, and open, as someone expecting good rather than guarding against loss. And carry this second practice. When the old fear returns, the one that says, "The change will never come," do not fight it with more effort, and do not let it make your decisions. Name it. Say plainly, "This is the fog, not the truth." The fog says nothing is changing. The truth says everything is. Naming it strips its power, because the fear only rules you while you believe it is reporting reality. The moment you recognize it as static from an exhausted system, it loses its authority, and you begin to make your choices from the quiet, expectant center that was always underneath the noise. Let me leave you with one more real account before we seal this, because it will steady your faith. There was a person who had waited so long for their life to change that they had quietly stopped praying for it, not out of rebellion, but out of exhaustion. They had decided it was easier to expect nothing than to keep being disappointed. And then, in a season they expected nothing from, with a clear and settled mind, things began to move. A door opened, then another. Within a few months, the life they had given up on had reorganized so completely that they barely recognized it. They said the strangest part was not that it happened, but how fast it happened once they were finally clear enough to step through the doors instead of walking past them. That is not an exception. That is simply what a great change looks like when it meets a prepared receiver. Now, I want to lead you through something before we close, and I want you to actually do it with me, because this is where the message stops being words and becomes an experience. Settle wherever you are. Let your shoulders drop. Take one slow breath in and let it go. Picture your life as a house that has been quietly rearranged while you slept. For years, the rooms felt the same, stale, stuck, unchanging. But now, in this image, walk through the front door and see that everything has been moved. Light is coming through windows you forgot were there. A door that was always locked now stands open, and through it you can see a room prepared just for you, filled with everything you have been waiting for. Walk toward it. Feel that it is real, that it is solid, that it is yours. This is not a fantasy. This is your spirit showing you the season your eyes are about to see. Step into the room. Let yourself believe, just for this breath, that the change is already done. And now, gently, let me bring you into the closing of this message, into the part where what you have seen becomes sealed in you. Take a breath of gratitude, not forced, just a quiet acknowledgement that you survived the long wait, that you kept believing when believing made no sense, that you are still here and still open after everything that tried to close you. There is grace in that endurance, and it deserves to be honored before anything else. Now let me lead you to release. Whatever you walked in carrying, the fear that you missed it, the bracing against disappointment, the exhaustion of striving to force a door that was always going to open on its own, gather all of it into your hands like sand. And on this next breath, open your hands and let it fall. Release the striving. Release the bitterness about the wait. Release the version of your story where the change never comes. Let it pour out of your hands and onto the ground, and feel how much lighter you are without it. And from that lightness, rise into who you are. Say it with me, in your spirit, if not out loud. Everything is about to change. I am not forgotten. I am being positioned. The wait was not wasted. It was building me. The change is not far. It is at the door, and I am ready with open and undivided hands to receive everything that has been prepared for me. If your whole heart agrees, seal it where you can see it. Comment the words, "I receive the change." Let that be the last word your doubt hears today, as a chosen one who has stopped bracing for loss and started preparing for arrival. Hear this final word over your life. The season of nothing happening is over. The long quiet was never absence. It was the deep breath heaven takes before it moves suddenly, and it is about to move. Sit down, steady your heart, and open your hands, because what is coming is bigger than what you asked for, better than what you imagined, and closer than you dared to believe. Everything is about to change, and so it is.